Hey, this is Chad with The Cusp coming to you today talking about motivation versus discipline. These are two words that are kind of thrown around a little bit and used an awful lot in an entrepreneurial setting or really any sort of goal setting mentality. And there are some very big differences here and some that we need to talk about. The first, everybody's looking for motivation. Everybody wants to be motivated. Everybody's looking to get up in the morning and jump out of bed and just be ready to go to seize the day and all that. The problem is that motivation tends to be a little bit fleeting. It tends to be something that may be there one day, won't be there the next, or may not arrive at all until you actually start to get to work. The other side of this, discipline, that's something that's really hard. And I'm sure you know where I'm going with this already. The hard one is the one you need to focus on. The hard one is the one you need to cultivate. Motivation, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Discipline, on the other hand, is exactly the goal that you want to be shooting for. Discipline is what it takes to get out of that bed when you're not motivated, when you're not excited about it, when it's a cold morning, when you didn't get enough sleep, whatever it might be. Discipline is saying, I have goals, I know the path that it's going to take to get to those goals, and I'm going to push forward even though it's not interesting to me right now, that I'm not inspired to do it, I'm not motivated to do it. That's what discipline is all about, and that's how important that is because of the fact that motivation is not always going to be there. Motivation is not going to be ready for you. In fact, there are quite a few people that would argue that motivation is what comes after you exercise discipline. Once you push discipline and you actually get yourself moving and you got the ball rolling and you're working or you're writing or you're exercising or whatever it might be, that motivation then starts to peek its head out, then starts to become something. Motivation is like that friend that doesn't want anything to do with your party until they get to the party, and then they realize it's a great opportunity. Like they didn't want to be there to prepare for it. They didn't want to write out the guest list. They didn't want to hang the decorations or start pouring the drinks. But once that party's in full swing, they're there and they're ready to go and they're super excited about it. That's motivation. It's not going to show up and just spring you into this great new life of yours before you get anything started. Discipline, on the other hand, will be there. Discipline will be the thing that moves you forward. The good news is there are some shortcuts to discipline. There are some shortcuts to kind of get yourself over that hump. The first one is chunking down smaller pieces than what you would. If you want to start a podcast, you can think about everything it's going to take to create that podcast, from the editing to the posting to the advertisement for it and trying to get listeners, anything along those lines. Or you can chunk that into the smallest piece and just start talking into your phone. It's that simple. Get that small piece down. If that's too big for you, think about, okay, I'm going to sit down with a pen and paper, and for 3 minutes today, I'm just going to write out something that I think is worthwhile for other people to know, something that I am aware of, something that I've learned that other people can utilize, some value that I can bring to somebody else's life. 3 minutes. That's simple. That's how discipline starts, is that you just sit down and you take care of business right off the bat, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be the grand scale. It just can be a small thing. The second part of trying to shortcut discipline is putting barriers in your way to sort of consistently remind you. If exercise is something that you always want to do, don't put your shoes in the closet. Don't put your workout clothes in the closet. Leave them right on the bed for you. So when you wake up in the morning, that's the first outfit you see. That's the first stuff you see. Put your shoes right in front of the door. So before you walk out, you have to step over your exercise shoes to get to where you want to go. That's the sort of thing that sort of will cut your discipline in half. It'll make it a little bit easier to get to that point because you'll consistently be reminded, and you'll remember the thoughts you had the night before when you put those shoes there, saying, hey, this is what you got to do, this is the work you got to put in, and you'll want to be good to that past you that put those shoes there. You'll want to be true to that person that had the best intent for you, and grab those shoes and put them on, or do whatever you have to do. Put your pen and your paper out and get ready to start writing. Put down 3 words to start yourself on your writing. He walked down the street to ... And then the next morning you wake up and you go, oh, he's already walking down the street. Where's he going? And you've got the discipline now to sit down and finish that sentence, just that sentence. From there, if that's all you do, then great. But my guess is once you get that ball rolling, you'll start to see motivation come forward and push you a little bit harder. That's the great aspect of those two used side by side is an unstoppable force. Once you get that discipline down, motivation will help push you even further, even harder, and then it just starts cycling back around. And every day you'll find that your discipline gets a little bit stronger, gets a little bit more intense, as does your motivation, and they'll just cycle back and forth on each other till after the course of a week or two, you really don't need either, because you are jumping out of bed, you're excited for the day, you can't wait to get to work or to your podcast or to exercise or whatever it might be. That is the advantage of starting with discipline. Today, you can start with discipline, and I urge you to make that jump today. Thanks again for watching. If you like what you're listening to, subscribe below. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them also below, or you can write an email out at the attached address, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks again.